This is Non-Doxastic Conspiracy Theories by Ichino and Juha Raikka. I'm sorry how I say your names. I don't know how to say names. And this is in the Argumented Journal. And as always, feel free to ask questions, comment, and whatnot while we're doing this. Yeah, so non-doxastic conspiracy theories. Like, if I had to guess, what would that be? I mean, this conspiracy theories without belief. Because doxastic just means pertaining to belief. So if you're going to have non-doxastic, that means you're going to have stuff without belief. So let's find out. Introduction. In recent years, there has been a lot of discussion on why so many people support conspiracy theories and on what, if anything... Nope. And why does it do that? It goes from 200 to 400. 250 is the... Yeah. What you're done to... And what, if anything, should be done to restrain the spread of conspiracist beliefs. Both the empirical debate on the possible causes of the popularity of conspiracy theories and the normative debate on how to deal with conspiracy theorists are usually based on what can be called the doxastic assumption. According to that assumption, a person who supports conspiracy theories believes that the theory is likely to be true, or at least plausible as the official explanation. Official explanation in scare quotes. This assumption is doxastic, as it claims that supporting a conspiracy theory amounts to believing that the theory is likely to be true. According to the doxastic assumption, for instance, a person who supports a conspiracy theory that Princess Diana was murdered by the British intelligence believes that this is so, or that it may very well be so. Her attitude towards the theory is doxastic in nature. This is really funny because, well, not funny, morbidly sad, because Prince Harry and Meghan were chased in New York City by, what's it called? Paparazzi, and they said like it actually got kind of dangerous at a certain point, and Prince Harry being Princess Diana's son, and Princess Diana being killed in a high-speed crash after running from paparazzi. So that was on the news in New York today. Very topical, cinesemiotics. So, the doxastic assumption is natural and gets prima facie support from what people say and do. For instance, if a person openly defends the claim that the U.S. authorities must have known in advance that World Trade Center towers would have been destroyed by referring to evidence concerning the normal practices of the U.S. intelligence, it seems reasonable to ascribe her a belief in the 9/11 conspiracy theory. However, we will argue that in some cases, such belief ascription is questionable. That is, we will argue that there are what we call non-doxastic conspiracy theories, theories that have many supporters who do not really believe that their main claims are true or likely, as they have not considered the truth of those claims in the first place. The said theories are supported on non-doxastic basis. Okay. So it's like you support things because all your friends do, but no one ever asked you if it was true. So like if I said all my friends believe that, you know, the moon is made of green cheese, and you ask me, do I believe the moon is made of green cheese? I say, yeah, moon's made of green cheese. And then you ask me about it, and I'm like, I have no idea about the moon being made of, yeah, it does remind you of religion. Semiotics. So it's like, but then it's like you believe it because everyone else does, but that's not actually a belief-based thing. You're just saying it's the way things are. Unjustified false belief. Yes. It seems exactly where we're going. Okay. The view that supporters of conspiracy theories need not always believe in the theories they support is not completely new. It has been defended here and there. So we've got Ichino, who is one of the authors here, and Ristov. However, our discussion of the phenomenon is meant to be novel and revealing in that it will examine in detail some of the psychological mechanisms underlying non-doxastic support for conspiracy theories, as well as the implications of the non-doxastic approach for practical interventions on those theories. In the first part of the paper, we will argue that 1. In some cases, supporters of conspiracy theories merely hope that the theories they endorse are true. That seems reasonable. They are hoping that things are the way they want the world to be, and that's a powerful thought. Now, do they actually believe them? No, but then they're saying, I'd be much better off with the world if it was this way. You know? I mean, that goes to the religious one, too. People hope that, like, there's an afterlife, a heaven, that, like, they'll go see their loved ones again. And so they say they believe it or they think it's true, but not because they actually think they have any evidence for it, but it's because it's it makes them feel better. A lot of times. But I understand that. And two, then in other cases, by openly supporting those theories, they merely mean to communicate their support for the creators and other supporters of those theories. Okay, and so we've got hope and virtue signaling. That's what we got here. Hope and virtue signaling. That's what it is. It's you're in a group, and you're virtue signaling to your group, that giving them support, that you're one of them, or another sense that like you're hoping something happens. So it's what's it called? What's that kind of belief? Wishful thinking. So we've got wishful thinking and we've got virtue signaling. That's what the authors are claiming here. You know what? I think I completely agree with them. I think there's definitely people out there who use both of these theories to justify their stupid claims or their conspiracy theories. However, maybe the hope one sometimes is less bad because you're just like, you want to, see your loved ones again. I understand that. Now, is that a good reason to believe in an afterlife? Probably not, but like maybe that's a calming thought for you, and it's one of like a white lie, might not be so bad. Now the virtue signaling one is pretty shitty. Like you should just be better at that point. Okay, we acknowledge that the evidence for these two models is not conclusive and more empirical research is needed, but our argument shows that the two modes deserve serious attention. On this basis, in the second part of the paper, we will argue that those who are willing to debunk conspiracy theories should take the existence of non-doxastic conspiracy theories into account. Yeah, I think especially the ones based on hope are maybe less analyzed, that people are hoping for a certain thing to outcome, and then you have to give them some other thing to hope for, because once you take away someone's hope, they're just going to double down. They're not going to be very happy with you. The virtue signaling ones, again, then you have to get them out of their like group, but like people know that one. Ivan Neo says, one frequent commonality is the belief that the government or authorities are lying and they do not care so much what is actually true. Yeah, I mean, yes. Why do people think that? I think they want to believe that there's like things make sense and they know how the world is, and being like, oh, the government's lying to us and I know the truth. I think that's a very comforting thought again. So it's again goes to the hope one where they're like, I know the truth, I figured it out, I understand the world, I'm smart. And that feeling that like I understand things and I'm smart, and like the government's lying to you because, it's making them money or something. Like, people like that. It's very comforting and feeling good that you know what's going on in the world. The world's hard and complicated and it's not great. So it's like people, like, you give someone that, they will hold on to it. Okay. Importantly, the authors say our argument is not based on any especially controversial understanding of the nature of belief. We assume a minimal characterization of belief as a cognitive attitude involving the acceptance of some proposition as true, something that at the functional level amounts to displaying at least some degrees of sensitivity to evidence, holistic inferential integration and other doxastic states of the subject, and action guidance. In doing so, we reject a purely behavioral or purely motivational view, according to which behavioral dispositions are not only necessary, but also sufficient for belief ascription. The characterization we adopt is widely accepted. Yeah, so they're just saying, look, for most theories of belief, this will work. This makes sense. Based on like already the gloss I've given, I think where they're going also makes sense. This is not, this is like, just off the bat, like my thoughts, this is not groundbreaking, but then again, I don't think they fucked up anything. Like, it looks like they've got a decent idea. They said like, look, other people have said similar things. We're just going to clarify the idea. It's going to give you some examples. And then this is how, like, maybe some strategies for dealing with the problems. So yeah, this is not bad so far. But again, how exciting is it? Who knows? We'll find out what they do and if any of their arguments are interesting. But it seems all right. Okay, although the notion of belief is far from unproblematic in various other respects, which are at the center of lively debates in philosophy, psychology, anthropology, and elsewhere, we remain neutral with regard to many current controversies about it. For instance, we do not assume any particular stance on the debate on whether beliefs, as on or off attitudes, can be reduced to credences that have degrees in correlate with the subjective probability that some proposition is true or not. Yeah, I mean, what exactly beliefs are, it's not going to matter here. It's like, can they be reduced to what you think a probability is in the world? Well, that's a different problem. Both belief and credence are doxastic attitudes, and in what follows we aim to show that such attitudes do not always play the role that they are commonly supposed to play in conspiracy theorizing. Someone said anthropology here, so I hear him. Hi, Maddie. They were saying we're not doing anthropology here, so it was a negative, but welcome in. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, we're talking about, conspiracy theories again, as requested by Cinesemiotics, but this is going to be a nice, interesting argument about how people do things without saying the conspiracy theory is true. So, all right. Similarly, we will not take any stance on the debate concerning permissivism, the view that the same body of evidence can justify more than one response and that some beliefs can be merely permissible rather than obligatory in the face of evidence. Permissivism is a normative doctrine, and our point here is mostly descriptive. We aim to describe the mechanisms underlying support for conspiracy theories. To begin, let's start by defining the notion of conspiracy theory. Yeah, so like I said, they actually seem like this is the Argumenta journal. It looks like they've actually, got a well-organized argument, thankfully. Yeah, Maddie, so hope you're doing well. How's the anthropology treating you? All right. What are conspiracy theories? The definition that follows is meant to clarify the discussion. We do not mean to suggest that it is the only appropriate way to use the concept. By conspiracy theory, we indicate an explanation of a given event that, 1, refers to actual or alleged conspiracies or plots, so there is a conspiracy criterion. 2, conflicts with the received view of the explanation of the said event, providing an alternative to the official view of that event. So there's a conflict criterion. Yeah, so they're mutually exclusive with the official event. And 3, offers insufficient evidence in support of the alternative explanation so that it is not considered as a competitive scientific theory or anything like that. And that's the evidence criterion. I don't know if we can actually talk about scientific, especially in political conspiracies, but like this makes some sense. They should have maybe not used scientific in a technical, like they're not using it technically here. So that's a little bit whatever. Okay, these criteria are meant to be necessary and jointly sufficient for something to count as a conspiracy theory. Makes enough sense. So, for instance, the claim that there was a Cuban plot behind the murder of President John F. Kennedy is a conspiracy theory, as it explains a political event by referring to a conspiracy and offers an alternative to the official view. The theory blames one group for conspiring, the Cubans, and another group for failing to notice it, the U.S. authorities. In many cases, the group that is accused of hatching a conspiracy consists at least partly of the people who should know and tell the truth. For instance, the claim that genetically modified food kills people and the authorities know it but do not tell it is a conspiracy theory that blames authorities both for scheming and concealment. The theory is supposed to explain why some business secrets are kept as such. I mean, the problem with that one is that some businesses do, like some chemicals do kill people and they keep it secret, and like the tobacco companies knew that cigarettes cause cancer way back in the 70s. My dad dated a daughter of one of the executives and she wasn't allowed to smoke because they knew it caused cancer back in the 70s. So, yeah. Well, back in the 30s at least? Okay. Well, I only know from the 70s. And so, there was kind of like... So if we replace genetically modified food here with cigarettes, kills people and authorities knew it, yeah, they probably did, but they were getting paid off by the companies. Like, so this one, in this case, would be a, like, not so conspiracy theory. It's like we have evidence for that. Oh, the big lie was that filters stopped cancer. I did not know that was like the big deal. Do I know Edward Bernays? I've heard the name, but I can't recall it right now. But like, yeah, so some of these things where there is no evidence, conspiracy. Other times, sometimes it's true. But like, again, there is hard evidence to this fact at this point. Oh, Bernays created modern advertising. He's fascinating. Hey, Rethius, what's up? Welcome in. Hope you're well. Yeah, so advertising. Yeah, so interesting. They did have good marketing campaigns. I mean, the Marlboro Man, I'm thinking that the younger generations are not going to know the Marlboro Man or the Camel cigarettes, Camel, Joe Cool. But like, I remember them from way back when. They were like iconic. Maddie says he single-handedly got women to start smoking more by calling them freedom torches. Nice, like freedom fries. Yeah, it's a famous thing in the early 1900s. Yeah, I was like, it works. Like, this is the sad thing. We are susceptible to advertising. Propaganda works. It works. If advertising didn't work, no one would spend any money on it. Okay, so let us look at the conspiracy criterion, the conflict criterion, and the evidence criterion more closely. Now the alerts work. Thank you for the subscription, Tindarius.
Tindarius subscribed. Tindarius says, "Good evening. Hope you're doing good. I completely forgot about the stream. I've been playing Fortnite with King Chilby the last 2 rounds in a row. Sorry for spamming, lol. How is the stream going? And sorry again if this gets read out aloud and I totally not write unnecessary stuff just for a laugh. I would never do that. Trust me. Anyway, the paper looks like fun. Why the hell can this message be that long? Great stream like always. Can't stay that long anyway."
Thank you for the Prime sub. I really appreciate it. You know, thank you. Yeah, doing well. There's a suggestion from Simon Alex. It's looks like it's actually a pretty well argued paper about conspiracy theories. So yeah, yeah. And we were having my normal trouble with not getting my stupid alerts working and everything read, but of course it worked this time. So that's awesome. But yeah, thanks, Welcome. Hope you're doing well, Tindarius. Cool. Yeah, and get back to the fork knife. If you need to. Yeah, where were we? So, it's like, why does it work sometimes and not others? It's like, there's no, I can't get into it. It's just like the programming is just too hard, or it's just way too like complicated to figure out networking. But yeah. But thank you again. Jacques Ellul wrote an even better book out about propaganda. Okay. Yeah, well, I mean, this is the classic person, Bernays, apparently. So, yeah. Oh, Jacques, yeah. Okay. Bernays was Freud's nephew. Yeah, must have, wow, okay. Got the psychology from, like, the horse's mouth, as they say. Cool. Or psychoanalyst, at least. So it's like, yeah, this stuff works. It does. Yeah. Well, you know, propaganda is fascinating. Rithia says propaganda was a neutral word in the common parlance when Bernays wrote a book entitled it that way. Interesting. I mean, we've always had like yellow journalism or like slanted like news stories. Like that's an old thing. The inventors of the Bernays sauce. Yes. Excellent. Yeah. It's like, what am I pushing on people in my stream? I don't know. Like, do I have propaganda? Am I a propagandist? I probably am. Anyway, getting back to this, the conspiracy criterion is based on the idea that reference to a conspiracy is a necessary condition for an explanation to count as a conspiracy theory. Yeah, I mean, conspiracy is an explanation. You need to reference an explanation. If an alternative explanation of a given event does not refer to a plot or a conspiracy, then it is not a conspiracy theory. However, denialist, the explanation may otherwise be. This raises the question of what counts as a conspiracy. For the sake of this discussion, conspiracy can be defined as a concealed collective activity whose aim or nature conflicts with the so-called positive morality, which reflects our present moral commitments, or with prima facie duties, especially if the goal of the activity differs from the goals of that its promoters are authorized to pursue. Yeah. So if you're doing one thing and you say one thing and you're doing something else, that might be a conspiracy that you're doing something else in concert and sort of in secret. Maddie says Ben Franklin once wrote an obituary about one of his main rivals. The man wasn't dead. He threw massive pushback, and Franklin just printed that guy was an imposter. Yeah, like that'll do it. That's funny though. Cinesamac says propaganda in most of the world is the word for marketing. Schools in South America refer to their marketing programs as cursos in propaganda. Interesting. See, like this is things I don't know, but that's kind of fun. Yeah. Yeah, this was the take. He was going too far. Yeah, everything's like, yeah, like that's funny. Propaganda these days feels mostly political. Well, I mean, if you're just going to call political marketing propaganda, then yes. I mean, there is, but it's always been like this. I don't know the history. You'd have to ask somebody else other than that. But like, I always feel like there's always been sort of political propaganda. It's just, this is what we see a lot of. I don't know if it's always been political or, you know, for something else, social. All right. So secret plans to organize birthday parties are not conspiracies, as their aim does not conflict with morality. Well, you can try to derail it. I don't think so. Like you're not been derailing today, at least. So, secret military operations are not usually called conspiracies as far as they have an authorized goal. An example of a conspiracy is the Volkswagen Group's decision to lie about the emissions of their cars and deceive their customers. It was a carefully designed secret plan that was collectively realized, which clearly conflicted with the prima facie duties, including a duty not to plan to deceive people. The group was not authorized to cheat on the consumers. Yeah, words matter, context matters, context changes over the years. Absolutely. And this is one of the hardest things in philosophy, is that the words that people are using in the past don't mean the same thing that they're using now. And so if you think you're reading something and it makes sense to you, it might not be what you think it says. And so you have to be super careful. So context matters, words matter, and definitions change over time. I mean, since we were talking Shakespeare slightly earlier too, there's a very, very famous monologue that starts off, "The king is kind." And what you think is, oh, the king's a nice guy. No, kind meant is more like type. In the old parlance, it didn't mean nice. It meant so it's starting off, the king is of a certain type. And it's like, then you realize it's not a nice thing about the king. You're calling him a certain kind of person, and it's not the kind of person you like. So like the modern use of the word kind, it still means type, but it also means nice. But like the old use of kind just meant type, and when you're calling someone a certain type of person, then you realize it's not a nice thing to say. Unreal Brian says, it seems like there's a difference between advertising, telling us about a thing's existence and merits, encouraging us to partake, and propaganda, putting forward a false account of reality that pulls on people's emotions and prejudices. I mean, yes, but they also do scummy advertising too. So then you run into the practice of scummy advertising. Is that not propaganda, or is that propaganda? So it's like, yeah, I agree, Unreal Brian, there's definitely a line. Where it is, it's going to be vague as hell. Yeah. Can we try and bring back poppycock as far as sentences? Yeah. I mean, thankfully in the US we've got Joe Biden, who uses a few of these old words, and they're getting into the he likes to use malarkey. And of course we still have poppycock, but how often do you actually say poppycock, Retheus? Joe Biden has brought back malarkey. Yeah. It's like, this is some malarkey. So it's like, yeah. Well, what's it called? Bamboozle. Bamboozle has made a comeback on the internet. Like an internet, when you get fooled on the internet, you say you're bamboozled now. So like that happens too. So like bamboozle's back. Joe Biden's like single-handedly bringing back malarkey. Like, yeah. Tandira says, yep, words change from propaganda to public relations to PR to a subcategory of marketing. Yeah, like this is the thing. I don't want to get into that argument because I don't feel like, not what you're saying. What you're saying is 100% correct. I don't want to get into the distinction between marketing and propaganda because I don't think there's anything to be known there. It's just like, yeah, like it's going to be a mess. Spike Lee brought it back with his movie Bamboozled. Well, I like it because it's getting used on the internet. Like when you get fooled on the internet, that's a bamboozle. Like people say, oh, they bamboozled me on the internet. Yeah, that's the thing. Ivan Neal says, yeah, a bamboozle is a doggo meme expression. Yeah, because I think it's gotten use in a internet parlance. Terrific used to mean terrifying. I didn't know that. That's crazy. Oh, wow. Okay, and so Cincinnati says, really, it brought bamboozle back into the parlance enough, then it may have gotten onto the internet after that, because I've only heard it brought back in, like, what Ivan said, well, the meme bamboozle, but then also before it, when, like, you were generally fooled by something on the internet. Oh, when you throw, yeah, like, you throw it and, like, you got bamboozled, like, and the dog's like, where's that ball? And you're like, oh, you got bamboozled. Ah. Terrific storm? Okay. Awesome had a pretty negative, terrifying connotation at one point too. I'm not surprised because like gods and stuff were awesome. Like awe is like kind of terrifying, and so like if you were like in awe, then you were like terrified but like amazed. And so I think the old version was more of like this being like terrified, amazed thing. So yeah. Tendera says, well, marketing can be used for propaganda. Doesn't mean all propaganda fits the definition of marketing. Yeah. Yeah, and the definition from a little is a bit broad. Well, this is the thing. Yeah, we can do that, but like if we sit around trying to just figure out the definition where the line is. It's going to be arbitrary. Like, we're not going to solve anything by trying to get the exact line between marketing and propaganda. Like I said, there's going to be a vague term, like where the line is. It's in philosophy, we say, like, when do you become bald? How many hairs is it? Well, there's no exact number of hairs. It's like sort of relative to like your head. And so that's the thing. It's like where the propaganda ends and marketing begins, it's going to be hazy. Yeah. Yeah, sure. Drop a link if you can, Tindaris. Just assume propaganda means persuasive rhetoric and we can agree. Yeah, well, yes. It's like, yeah. I'm just gonna like, but it's like, I just, yeah, whatever. It's fine. Like, just think, as long as just we're on a spectrum here between marketing and propaganda. Like, I'm not trying to make any distinction about it. Okay, so yeah, so what happened in the Volkswagen Group, if anyone doesn't know, they claim they made certain emission standards and they didn't. And they had put something in, like a computer, into their cars to fool the tests. And so that was a conspiracy because they worked behind the scenes to like do something like that. I think the fact that we're debating this means the term propaganda has a charge to it these days. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, Rethius. And it is interesting. But, like, that's like a sociological point, though. It's like this is where we've got ourselves to in, like, at least the United States, where people are claiming, oh, the world is a certain way and the world isn't. And when you're living in, like, two different realities almost. Maddie says Volkswagen should have been financially flayed for that emission scandal. Yeah, it was really bad. I don't know what all the fallout was. Okay, the conflict criterion is meant to separate conspiracy theories from other sorts of theories that refer to conspiracies. There are hundreds of historical accounts that mention conspiracy as part of the explanation of a historical event, but they do not count as conspiracy theories in our view, as far as they represent the received view of history. Padre, interesting. What is this? From Ivan. You thought I was Priesto? Nope, I am Doggo. Bamboozle be with you. In name of Master and Puppet and Heckin' Spirit, Padre. Gonna do you your sins a forgive it. Please no heck. All boss on Doge. Yes. But yeah, that's the thing. Like I heard the Bamboozle come back in internet speak, not other places, although Cinesemiotics had a alternate theory of that. We can thank what's his name? What was it? I'm blanking out. The movies. Now I want to find out what was it. Where's my freaking chat when I need it? Ah, Spike Lee. Thank you, Spike Lee. Okay, the claim that Bolivian authorities conspired with the CIA to kill Ernesto de Che Guevara in 1967 is not a conspiracy theory, but the official truth about Che Guevara's death. Well, it's a conspiracy, not a conspiracy theory. Don't get hornswoggled. Ooh, that's a good one. An explanation that refers to a conspiracy is a conspiracy theory only if the relevant epistemic authorities more or less unanimously find the conspiracy claim strikingly implausible, or would find it strikingly implausible in cases if they considered it. The view that vaccines will kill millions of people and health authorities know it, but do not confess it, is a conspiracy theory as it is strikingly implausible according to the epistemic authorities on which we normally rely, such as the scientific community, mainstream media, investigative journalists, various states of authorities and agencies, and so on. Yeah, it's like, yeah. It's this is the differences between the conspiracy theory, what we mean here, and like the conspiracy reality. The theory has to be not the same as reality. In Jacques Ellul's book, Propaganda, Tindaris writes, he views it as a sociological phenomenon, a necessary tool for societies to cohere, particularly in the modern era. He discusses it as an all-pervading force that integrates individuals into the mass for the purpose of creating a desired conformity, not just about spreading lies or brainwashing, but more about standardizing behavior and beliefs in complex societies. Okay, that's a cool definition. Yeah, so it's a normative force in societies that get people to like have a social, like a common social understanding. Yeah. You always figured a conspiracy theory is an unproven conspiracy. I think the difference here is, I don't know if you saw it from earlier, but there's a moral aspect to it. It's like there's a lot of unproven conspiracies, but usually it's against the main view. And that against the main view kind of matters here. Like there's a lot of things that are just unproven, but they may not be going against the main narrative. Maddie says Lincoln's assassination was a full-on conspiracy. JFK's assassination has a huge conspiracy theory. Yeah, I think Lincoln's assassination, there were a lot of weird things going on in that, but JFK's has like huge theories that go against the main narrative. I don't know if like the current thought is that like Lincoln's was so against like the main narrative by like what happened. But yeah. Okay. So the evidence criterion helps to distinguish between conspiracy. Oh yeah, and what I say, Maddie, as I'm trying to describe the author's view here, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I think the authors would say the difference is from them to you is in the way you have to be going against the main narrative. Yeah. I just want to be clear. I hate the word clear. I want to be precise. I like precise way better than clear. Clear isn't specific enough usually. Okay, the evidence criterion helps to distinguish between conspiracy theories and some historical theories that may also refer to conspiracies and conflict with the received view. For instance, the claim that Rasputin was killed by the British intelligence services is not considered, or is not always considered, to be a conspiracy theory, but a competitive historical theory about the death of Rasputin. Those two kinds of theories, conspiracy theories and what we call minoritarian theories that refer to conspiracies, differ with respect to the quality of evidence they provide. Rethia says clear works for vision and water. Yeah, exactly. I like precise when I'm saying things. Like, I don't want to be clear. I want to be precise or very specific. Yeah. Cinemax says, I like it is what it is, overstating what it is. But hey, it is what it is. Absolutely. You know, how it goes, man. It's just how it goes. Conspiracy theories often offer relatively little good quality evidence and support for the conspiracies they talk about, while minoritarian scientific or historical theories, which may likewise make claims about conspiracies, offer a good amount of good quality evidence in support of their claims. They may not convince most of the experts, but they are taken seriously because of the evidence they provide. The quality of the sources that are used in conspiracy theories is not as good. That's fair. Like, you know, there's always now I'm using their stupid term, minority reviews. And reviews or perspectives. Jacques Ellul was a French philosopher, sociologist, lay theologian, and professor. Is renowned for his critique of modern technology and societal trends, emphasizing their propensity to dehumanize and manipulate individuals. Oh yeah, if anyone didn't see the Shane McGinnis stream on Luddites, that was really cool. Speaking of anti-technological folks. Rethia says, yes, because that's like kind of cool, like this, the critique of modern technology and societal trends. That was one of the things the Luddites were talking about, and that Shane was talking about with the Luddites just the other day. Let's give Shane a shout out. Anyone who doesn't know Shane's a historian and sociologist, and yeah, so yeah. What are we asking about, Maddie? I don't know. My dad and I have this, Rethia says, my dad and I have this pattern, which I love. One person says, well, there you go. And the other person replies, yep, there you are. And then any mystery or anxiety is gone. Okay, yeah. The Luddites are a very interesting group. Yeah, I didn't know, like, they seem to have a much more ethically good theory stance than I realized. Like, they were worried about people and how they were, like, tech was, like, ruining people's lives. I thought they were just kind of being, like, you know, reactionary. They were less reactionary and more, you know, principled in their stance. Okay. Yeah, they got super flattened by history. Well, you know, it seems like they had the right perspective on some of the shitty things in capitalism, and capitalism doesn't like that. Luddites, yeah. Same with first wave feminists, yeah, interesting. Yeah, Tindarius, I'm sure you know who Shane McGinnis is. You can probably go find his VOD in like I don't know where Shane keeps his VODs. They might be in his Discord, but like the Luddites were an anti technology movement in England in the late 1800s. Basically, a lot of people lost their jobs in the textile industry due to like all the advances in like cotton gins and weaving. And they were trying to, save people's lives from like starving and stuff. And they were like smashing these like factories where they were making clothing. And so, yeah. And so I thought they were just like anti-technology people, and they were anti-technology people, but yeah. Highly skilled weavers who got replaced by power looms. Yeah. So basically, in this reflects the exact history with computers. People who used to do it, if you saw the movie Hidden Figures, there were like people, generally women back in the day, who did a lot of calculations, and then they just got their jobs lost because they were taken over by computers. Exact same situation. Tech progress moves on, but like a lot of people who were making their livelihood that way, just all of a sudden lost their lives, their livelihoods, and it was very bad for them. Yeah, so, and then you got a whole bunch of shitty social outcomes because of the technology. So, but they were, they were trying to do the right thing by people, which I didn't realize, so. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, this is a little weaker here. How do you actually judge the merit of a quality of a source for a conspiracy theory versus a non-conspiracy, just minority view theory? Because sometimes the minority view is correct. And a lot of minority views start off with very little good evidence, but then, they get evidence, but they start off with very little good evidence. How do you actually determine what's a conspiracy theory versus what isn't? And I don't know if there's a good answer for that. Okay. But the authors say, this definition of the notion of conspiracy theory has several merits. First, the definition reflects relatively well the ordinary usage of the term and seems to be extinctionally adequate. Extinctionally adequate means it reflects the real world. This is a philosophy term called extinctionally means out in the world. When people talk about conspiracy theories, they usually refer to claims that blame a given group of people for conspiring and that go strongly against the received view. And the examples we can think of theories that are commonly classified as conspiracy theories would count as such according to our definition. Second, our definition does not imply that conspiracy theories must be false. Epistemic authorities make mistakes, although it is important to notice that usually we know about such mistakes because epistemic authorities themselves have produced the information that helps us to notice them. Third, the definition does not imply that those who represent epistemic authorities could not be conspiracy theorists. A biologist, a journalist, or a historian may well present an explanation which refers to an alleged conspiracy, but which is pure nonsense according to most others. Fifth, by virtue of the conflict criterion, our definition makes the notion of conspiracy theory a relative one that is relative to a different historical contexts, given that epistemic authorities may change their views over time, and so also what conflicts with such views will change accordingly. This is an advantage because something that counts as a conspiracy theory today may not turn out to be such anymore in light of new evidence that might emerge. Finally, our definition does not imply that new theories that are not or have not yet been evaluated by the relevant epistemic authorities cannot be genuine conspiracy theories. On our view, a new theory that refers to a conspiracy is a conspiracy theory if the epistemic authorities would find the conspiracy claim strikingly implausible after considering it. Okay, so this is what I was just worried about. What actually counts as considering a theory? People won't like theories that go against the main view, especially ones that, target people in power. They won't like it. So they may consider it and then dismiss it. But what counts as properly considering it? So there's a little bit of hand waving here, but this is always going to be a problem. The difference between a minority view and a conspiracy theory is a lot of times going to be a political one. Like, who do you support? And so at this sort of edge case, there's going to be a problem there. But for the vast majority of time, and I think for the author's purposes in this paper, this isn't a big deal. They're talking about established conspiracy theories in this paper, not stuff that's like getting off the ground or is just very shaky or at the fringe. We're talking about major conspiracy theories, not ones that are new theories, like they were saying right here. It's this new theory thing that stuff, yeah. So a new theory. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, how long have I been going for? Yeah. It's a little bit of a long paper, and we did a lot of chatting at the beginning, so got to move quick. Non-Doxastic support for conspiracy theories. As we acknowledged, there are prima facie reasons to take people's attitudes towards conspiracy theories to be doxastic. After all, people give sincere verbal assent to such theories, and we generally take sincere verbal expression of assent as a guide to belief ascription. Yeah. Sorry about that, if you heard it. Over there. This is a glass top desk that I'm using. I know you can't see it, but like if I bang it or anything, it will be loud. Yeah. Okay. On closer inspection, however, there are also reasons that speak against belief ascription here. Alleged beliefs in conspiracy theories are commonly taken to be irrational to relevant degrees due to their weird content that conflict with the views of widely recognized epistemic authorities. All right. More drink. Surely we should avoid describing irrational or epistemic irresponsible beliefs to each other if there are alternative mental states as ascriptions available that make sense of each other's behavior without involving irrationality or irresponsibility, or involving less of them. Yeah, so you need a principle of charity. You don't want to say that all conspiracy theories are just completely insane. That's usually not the case either. And even if it is the case, you don't want to go in with that attitude because that's not going to get you very far. So maybe this is a good strategy for dealing with conspiracy theorists, even if they are kind of insane, but you don't want to go in just treating them insane. Okay, and you're doing the no cooldown on the drink thing? Fine. One of these days I'll start putting in cooldowns. It'll be very sad. Uh-huh. I'll make you have to be a mod to make me drink. I'm gonna be out of water soon. Okay, let's hold the cup for here. Alright, this suggests that we should take the non-doxastic option seriously and consider possible mechanisms that may lead one to express support for a conspiracy theory while actually not believing that the theory is correct or likely. Yeah. Okay, you get one more. There you are. Here we will identify two such mechanisms, mechanisms of non-doxastic endorsement, and we will consider empirical studies that support the idea that such mechanisms are indeed at play in a number of cases of conspiracy theory advocacy. We will call the first mechanism the hope process and the second mechanism the communication process. Wow, do you only rent the water? Well, I mean, I only have a cup of water here. Sometimes you see streamers with these giant cups, but like, yeah, no. The cup is, that's the biggest thing I got. Oh, now we got Cinesemiotics jumping in on this too. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get a refill if you go. That's what you want. You want to go on BRB screen? Okay. That's it for water. I have to go to BRB if you guys want me to drink more. Right, the communication process. We will introduce both of them by describing imaginary examples that are not directly related to conspiracy theories. Then we will argue that something similar to what happens in such examples may happen when a person endorses a conspiracy theory without really believing it. Notice that our point here is programmatic. We sketch two models that, if proven true, would have important implications, but we also provide some initial evidence for their truth, thereby indicating avenues for future research. It's a pun on beer. You only rent the beer. You don't really purchase. Okay. Ideally scribbled above a urinal. Yeah. It just goes through you anyway. You know, consumption of any of that, enough of that stuff kills you. So it's like enough beer at once kills you. Enough water at once it kills you. Yeah. The hope process. Consider a high school drama. There's a lucky guy in the school who gets relatively good grades, is good at sports, and gets attention from his colleagues. Is that what you call people in high school? Colleagues? Okay. Classmates. There's another guy in school who is not as lucky as the lucky guy and who envies the lucky guy, although he does not realize it because of his poor self-knowledge. One day, the lucky guy does not say hello to the unlucky guy, even if they know each other well enough. Not saying hello is an accident, but the envious unlucky guy has a different explanation. At first, he is just angry, but after a couple of days, he is sure that the lucky guy is selfish, arrogant, and untrustworthy person. That is why the lucky guy does not even say hello to him. However, the unlucky guy deceives himself. The belief that there is something seriously wrong with the lucky guy helps him psychologically. The evidence in favor of such belief is weak and inconclusive. What really supports it are motivational mechanisms of self-enhancement. Now we can think that actually he and not the other boy is the clever guy. The unlucky guy starts to disseminate strange claims whenever it is possible and fits the social situation. For instance, he claims that the lucky guy typically does not keep his promises and that the lucky guy often lies. Given the unlucky guy's view of the lucky guy, these claims make sense. Untrustworthy people do not always keep their promises and they can lie every now and then. Then one day, someone from the school tells the unlucky guy that actually the lucky guy usually keeps his promises. She has plenty of evidence for that. The unlucky guy does not really question the said evidence, but he simply replies that in any case, the lucky guy is a liar. For him, it is not important to insist that any particular dismissive claim about the lucky guy is true. It is enough that some or at least one of them is true. He believes that the lucky guy is selfish, arrogant, and untrustworthy, and it is psychologically important for him that this belief is correct. This belief predicts that at least one of the dismissive claims is true, and therefore he really hopes that they are not all false. Whenever he considers one of them, he hopes that it is true, but he does not truly believe any of them, although he does not think that they are all false either. When he says what he says, he is not lying. Yeah, he's delusional. This is it's a delusion. That's what this is. Wishful thinking is a delusional state of mind. You can be in wishful thinking or whatever. This is like a psychologically pleasing thing, and you can delude yourself into believing something even when it's not true, and you don't care. Like I said before, you might believe in an afterlife where you're going to be rewarded for your pious behavior, or you're going to meet your dead relatives or go to heaven, and you're deluding yourself into believing that heaven is everything you want it to be. Like, how the hell would you fucking know? But it's maybe giving you a good stabilizing version of the world that keeps you acting good in your current life, and you like that, and so you kind of hold on to it. So maybe a white lie if it was actually good for you, and in this case it's just delusional but bad delusion. And you might have some good delusions, things that useful fictions you tell yourself. So that's all. Okay. Author says, now in some cases something similar may be going on when a person supports a conspiracy theory. It need not be the case that the person really believes in the theory. It may be that she merely hopes the theory holds, as the theory supports some more general view which she is motivated to believe, such as, for instance, the general view that the authorities or the establishment, or that is the state, the scientific community, the business companies, the media, and so on, are in general seriously unreliable and untrustworthy. Her motivations to believe this general view may be rooted in her poor social conditions and overall unsatisfaction with her life. She may be unemployed, down and out, badly disappointed by the system, and lacking sense of control over her life. I mean, very easy to do nowadays when the economy is shit and it doesn't look like the wealth inequality is getting worse. So I understand, but people are still delusional. Believing that the system itself is untrustworthy might well provide some comfort to her, meaning that her problems are largely caused by others rather than by herself. Yeah. Due to her motivation to hold a belief in this general view, she may hope that the conspiracy theories that support this view are true. When a conspiracy theory she supports is shown to be rubbish, she does not care about the issue too much, but simply shifts to another conspiracy theory, since some or at least one of them must be true. This is psychologically important. Yeah, this is a psychological theory of what's going on in conspiracy theories that is giving you something crutch to lean on. When she disseminates those conspiracy theories, she is not lying and she does not consider them to be false. She has simply not considered them from an epistemic point of view. What she has considered, albeit in a motivationally biased way, is the general view that all main institutions are untrustworthy. When she disseminates the conspiracy theories predicted by this general view, she may think that she is doing something important. Yeah, I mean, you're showing that, the world is, very bad, and this is how it's bad. It's everyone should know they're out to get you. I don't know if you saw the one on social media. It was a guy claiming the Jews control the world, and like he was like, you know, protesting, making loud, and some Jewish guy comes up. He's like, "That's right, Jews control the world, and you have to leave right now." And the guy's like, "What? I have to leave?" He's like, "I don't have to leave." He's like, "I'm Jewish. You have to leave." And the guy like gets nervous and he leaves. He's like, and the Jewish guy goes, "See, we control everything. We made the guy leave." It's like, oh my god, just some random guy off the street. I don't even know if he was Jewish. I was like, it was a good move though, dude. Like, just yell at the guy, and he walked away. It's like, come on. Okay, hoping and believing are different and typically incompatible things. If a person, I mean, there's wishful thinking in some sense. You're believing that something is true that you want to be true to make your life feel better. You're delusional. So and that's not a belief. It's a wishful thinking. Your friend of yours did the same. That's funny. It's very funny. Hoping and believing are different and typically incompatible things. If a person consciously and openly believes that something is the case, arguably she cannot hope for that thing anymore, since hope is accompanied with uncertainty. Hoping and wishing to are different things. A person can wish that she could jump into the moon even if she thinks that is impossible, but she cannot hope it if she thinks that it is impossible. Thus, a person who hopes that a conspiracy theory is true does not believe that it is impossible that it is true. Yeah, so this is delusional, and it's not a belief. You're deluding yourself. She yelled that to another girl who thought that was nonsense. See, that's who thought that nonsense. Yeah, that's, you know, that's like a good strategy. It's like, call them out on their bullshit and see how far that gets them. It's like, if you can't even handle someone being like, yep, you're right, and we're saying go, like, how good is your thought? Like, it's crap. But, you know, why do people do this? It makes the world make sense to them. If they're screwed over by something, as the author said here, they've been screwed over by forces outside their control, and, you know, it simplifies the world. Like, if only these, like, minority were not doing that thing that we don't like them to do and we're screwing us over, everything would be fine. It's like, let me tell you something. The world's more complicated than that. I can guarantee you're not getting any more money and power as soon as that minority goes. It's like... But they don't want to hear that. They want to say simple, like it's a simple thing, and it makes sense to them, and it makes them feel good. Yeah, well, dude, I don't even think it's a misinterpretation of Zionism. I think it's more just what the author said here. It's a delusion that makes you feel good. It's something psychological. I don't think they understand. It's like what they said. It's not a belief about what they think about Zionism. I think it's something like it's a belief that they want to have more control over their lives. And then they, you know, attack the problems in their lives to, like, you know, some group, Jews or, you know, trans people nowadays. Like, oh my God, they're going to attack people in bathrooms. Like, are you fucking insane? Like, that's like the stupidest thing you're ever, it's like this has never happened. It's never happened as far as I know. And they're like, oh my God, like they're coming after us. So like, no, it's ridiculous. Why would you think something ridiculous? Well, it's because you want to think something ridiculous because you think that'll solve your problems, and it's ridiculous, but it's wishful thinking, or hopeful thinking, as the authors here call it. So, where were we? Importantly, a person who does not believe in a conspiracy theory but merely hopes that it is true would not typically say that she is only hoping if asked. She would rather say that she really believes in the theory. What is at stake here on our view is a special sort of metacognitive mistake. Well, I saw a conspiracy video claiming nonsense, and the base said, yeah, well, I'm sure they claim the crap, but like, no, like, I'm not doubting you. Oh no, in the base was Zionism. Oh, I'm not doubting you that that's what they say, but I think the problem is deeper. The problem is psychological, not like a misunderstanding of some theory, like whatever Zionism is or is not. Like, I don't think it's a misunderstanding. I think they're looking for anything to grab onto, and then they're getting a shitty view of whatever they thought Zionism was. But like, yeah, I think it's a psychological issue. They're delusional, not that they misunderstood some like social movement. Okay. She does not believe, but rather merely hopes that the theory is true, but she mistakenly takes her hope to be a belief. There may be various reasons why she makes this mistake. For one thing, hoping that a conspiracy theory is true would be an instance of hoping something bad, and hoping something arguably involves wanting that thing. But most of us think that wanting bad things to be true is not appropriate, so hoping them would not be appropriate either. Moreover, psychologically speaking, it seems important for her to believe that she believes the conspiracy theory rather than merely hoping it, given that belief is the appropriate attitude towards the things that are true, and she does indeed hope the conspiracy theory to be true. Hence, the mistaken belief ascription. Yeah, you can't say this is wishful thinking. No one can tell themselves there is wishful thinking, because then you know you're deluding yourself. That doesn't make sense. Wittgenstein, actually, one of my favorite lines from the Philosophical Investigations, he says, if there was there's a reason why, this is a paraphrase, to first person false belief does not exist in any language. The idea that, like, I can say I believe wrongly that. You can't say that. Why is there no I believe wrongly that, like a first person to believe incorrectly? You can't do it, because that would be, you knew you were delusional. Yeah, Taniras, absolutely. I think it tends that people want to be special even when it's nonsense. That's another good psychological point. It's not just that, like, it's making them feel better, but like they feel like correct, or they know something. It makes them feel like unique. And that's a very good point. That's a very powerful thing, that they figured something out that other people didn't figure out, and that makes them special among people. Not just that they know something, but that they figured out something uniquely interesting that other people didn't do. And that's another force going on here. This model of mechanism underlying the commitment to conspiracy theories is non-doxastic, in that it denies that such commitment amounts to believing the theories in question. On this model, supporting conspiracy theory amounts to hoping rather than believing that the theory is true. On the other hand, the model credits conspiracy theory supporters with some other more general beliefs, namely beliefs about the untrustworthiness of the system, which in turn explains their hopeful commitment to the conspiracy theories themselves. Supporting a specific conspiracy theory may then be seen as an indirect way to express a deeper, more general conviction. Yeah, I mean, there's some other thing going on. I mean, the conspiracy theories themselves are too ridiculous for any one conspiracy theory, unless you really love that one. But that'd be different. There's something else going on. Why do you believe them? Well, you've got psychological issues. Cinesemiac says that feeling also comes from legit knowledge, though. Yes, but I think conspiracy theories hijack that. They make use of that to propagate themselves. It's the same thing with cults. You then are initiated into like some secret knowledge, like some secret better version of the world, and that's not really a conspiracy theory. Kind of is. It's kind of that you have a preferred version of the world, and so like this gets hijacked by conspiracy theories and secret societies. So I think you can get that from legit knowledge, that you've learned something. So that's a 100% legit feeling. But the problem is that conspiracy theories and cults make use of that. Yeah, religion again. But this is very religion aligned here, talk. So, I mean, hope, especially. I mean, that's a religious thing. Religious things, people talk about hope. Okay, empirical studies on conspiracy theories suggest that something like the hope process just described is not unlikely. There is a good amount of empirical evidence that people who support conspiracy theories do not trust the authorities and the establishment as those who are not eager to endorse conspiracy theories. There is also some evidence that people who support conspiracy theories are some people who support conspiracy theories have personal reasons, that is, a motivation, to adopt the general claim that the main social institutions are untrustworthy and unreliable. Furthermore, there is empirical evidence that if a person supports one conspiracy theory, this increases the probability that she will adopt another conspiracy theory as well. This result is well in line with the dynamics of the hope process. Finally, there's empirical evidence that people are willing to support conspiracy theories whose claims conflict with each other and that cannot all be true at the same time. These findings are due to Karen Douglas and her group, who interpret them with a doxastic framework according to which conspiracy theories supporters hold openly contradictory beliefs, thereby incurring blatant irrationality. We may have read stuff on this. I think we were talking about that. Oh no, it wasn't this person. But we read a popular article where they were saying that conspiracy theories are often contradictory. So we did read something about this not too long ago. So yeah, they were saying basically that a lot of this stuff just does not make sense altogether. So that gives, they were claiming that basically it gives wiggle room, because if one thing doesn't make sense, well, you can say there's wiggle room. It doesn't make sense, but you can say different things and it supports different parts of the argument. can all kind of work together to just be all bullshit. Yeah, see, yeah, since I mean, you remember, yeah, there's follow-up, yeah, Okay, some authors have pointed out, however, this interpretation is strikingly uncharitable. The hope process provides a much more charitable interpretation. A person can certainly adopt conflicting conspiracy theories when she does not actually believe in them, but merely hopes that some or at least one of them is true. Having such hopes does not involve any contradiction, and there are no psychological mysteries here, nor indeed irrationality. While granting that the empirical data just mentioned might be explained also within a doxastic framework, we observe that the non-doxastic framework provided by the hope model has some clear advantages here. Yeah, I really like this. Like, I think this wishful thinking, delusional state of affairs and not a belief one makes a lot of sense here. So can you please repeat the exact meaning of doxastic? Doxastic is actually very simple. It just means pertaining to belief. So the belief, what they're talking about when they're talking about the doxastic framework or the doxastic model here is that when you are talking about conspiracy theory, that means you believe it. And when philosophers are talking about belief in this sense, that means it is a possible reality that like you think has more, like, to use the credence talk, but you think it's actually possibly real. Like you think like, yeah, like this is how the world is. And so that's the kind of belief means it's like a potential truth, basically. And so as a potential truth, when the philosophers are talking about it, that means it has to obey the laws of logic, because the world, as far as most people are talking about it, you know, is not contradictory. And so as a belief in this sense, it has to be a proposition that follows the laws of logic. Yeah. Is it related to the verb to dox someone? I mean, I don't think so. I don't know where the modern use of dox, which I think has 2 X's in it, because it comes from doxa, the Greek word for belief. Like doxa is a belief. So a paradox is something that goes against belief, like you can't understand it. So it's a para as in the negation of doxa, belief. So against thought in some sense. So it's like, that's what a paradox is. So these are Greek, this is from the Greek doxa, meaning pertaining to belief. That's all. But in this case, it means that the doxastic model means it has to be kind of like something that could be true or false, and you could evaluate it scientifically. And that's the problem here. They're saying it's not evaluable according to like science. Well, these words are stuff that I have to know about. I don't know that many words. I do have to know these words. Shindario says there's even a non-fiction book called The Secret. It is basically about the attraction, but is written like it's something special, even when the main concept is old as fuck. Yeah. Like this is that was a famous book. That was a very famous book. I don't remember exactly what it was about, but it was some sort of, yeah. You'd have to go into it, but yeah. These are not new thoughts, but they get rehashed. I know doxa because I need to know doxa, and paradox and doxastic are all very philosophy words. Okay, so that was the hope process, the wishful thinking, delusional stuff. The communication process. Suppose that a young person would like to identify herself as part of the growing popular movement that opposes the use of plastic products. Yeah, no, I don't think we're being anti-plastic here. It's just a little story that they're coming up with. By the way, I don't dislike this little vignette that they're giving. This is not a terrible thing. They're not going on too long about these like that. The 2 people in high school, but it's giving you an example. It's not a terrible example. Oh, just Rule of Attraction, that's the book? Okay, yeah. Alright, so she is deeply concerned about environmental issues and would like to flag her attitude by supporting the anti-plastic movement. The leaders of this movement disseminate their message in their website and in social media. The person who would like to be involved forwards these messages, although often she does not really understand their concept. After all, they include rather complex claims about the chemistry and biology, claims that are not common knowledge. Sometimes it happens that a claim of the movement is publicly shown to be false by the relevant experts, but that does not really perturb the person who continues to disseminate the movement's newsletters. The key issue for her is expressing agreement rather than establishing truth. She would like to show that she supports the movement, and disseminating the messages is her way to communicate that. Oh god, now of course it's not going to work again. Alright, Cincinnati says, check out the big brain. Oh, god, now of course it works. You know, I think Twitch just doesn't like you. I mean, I'll run it through the stupid thing. No, don't do that. There.
Dearest Max gifted 1 bits. Dearest Max says, check out the big brain on No. He knows all of the words and rehashes them. No has an extensive vocabulary. It thrubs and morphs and pulses as overfill. Fart. Excuse me.
That was not me farting, that was you farting. I don't know why the bits are so crappy to get picked up. I apologize on the TTS. I mean, the TTS is working. I mean, we had it when Tindarius dropped a sub, but yeah. Anyway, thank you. Yes, we'll check out the big brain on Brett. What was the next line? You're a smart motherfucker.
Side Semietics gifted 1 bits. Side Semietics says, cheer if Twitch those base tardigrade.
I have no idea. I have absolutely no fucking idea. Yeah, so this is communicating in groups. I mean, we have group communication here by having our own lingo. I mean, like, this is, you know, Dan M, the Daniel Matt. And so, like, if you see other people using Wanky the elephant, you're going to know they're in Daniel Matt's community. So, yeah, it worked this time. Oh, yes, thank you for contributing there, Tindarius. And so it's like, do you know, like, this is Kimmery Sky, and so it's like so like you can communicate groups and group membership, and if like people from other parts of Twitch know what groups you're in, they might know, oh, you hang out with these kinds of people. So it's like, then you know that, and you can like virtue signal your group thing. And that's what's going on here. But let me finish up the paragraph. By disseminating the claims of movement, she does not aim to say that the claims are true. She merely wants to express her participation and commitment to the movement's general agenda. You're pushing an agenda here. Yep. And see there, you can throw my duck rabbit down and no one will know that except for me, but like, that's cool. Oh man, I don't have the icon there. I don't know what that is. Is that a dead box? Yeah, I don't have the right font installed. Sorry, Cinesemiatics. Okay, which she takes to be important and admirable. Her support for the messages is basically an indirect way to show this more general commitment. Yeah, see, like, I don't have the correct font installed. I apologize. So I'm just getting boxes, I think, on you. Now, it may be that in some cases something similar happens when a person expresses her support for a conspiracy theory. She need not believe the theory at all. Simply since she admires the people who support that theory, she might want to express her support for them by disseminating their claims. Yeah, okay, see this. Tindarius got a... Who is this? This is Game Club Central. So yeah, Tindarius is part of the Game Club Central community. And they can express their support for them around Twitch by showing their emotes. So yeah. So, and you should all go subscribe to Kimmery Sky and the Daniel Matt, because they're excellent streamers. And you can do that on Twitch where you click on the emote and then like the name, and then you can click there if you want, which is actually not the terrible way. That's what you used to do before they had the new shout out feature. You could drop a emote in chat and then do the like click on the emote, and that worked. But like that takes, you know, more work than the one-click emote shout out. Yeah, the one-click shout out on the emote shout out. Okay, so yeah, it's a little bit of a long stream. Like, this is why I didn't want to read this paper, because it's a little long. But we only got 4 more pages, so we're getting there. We're getting there. Be done soon. Okay. Yeah, exactly. So if you guys want to drop emotes in here, so yeah, these are Floppy Jimmies. We love Floppy Jimmy. I mean, buddy of ours. I get him over there sometimes. So yeah, Floppy Jimmy. You show where you are, and then like you can support them indirectly by spreading their emotes, make it easier for people to recognize it. And so and the same thing here. You're not supporting the conspiracy theory so much for the conspiracy theory itself, but you're supporting it for the group membership and supporting and showing group solidarity. Yeah. So group solidarity, exactly. So using Twitch emotes, Twitch lingo helps promote Twitch solidarity, and then like all these things, you know, you can do it. So, you know, and you get the emotes, and that's one of the community building things here. So like, yeah, oh, and this is also Daniel Matt. People love this one. You can be like A+. Yeah. So yeah, if you can make the little squid thing that Cinesemiotics got like right there, then like you can be like, hey, look, this person knows how to Twitch. They're a Twitch person. They know Twitch things. So you're supporting the Twitch community by doing interesting stuff with the community signaling stuff. So here's what that's all this is. A person who is concerned about the risks of vaccination may very well support a conspiracy theory developed by a group who thinks that vaccination is riskier than is commonly taken to be, and much riskier than the relevant epistemic authorities publicly admit. By expressing support for that particular conspiracy theory, a person need not really believe it, as her point is merely to flag the opinion that the group has an important agenda and that she therefore stands by that. Yeah, so agenda pushing is basically how I think of this stuff. I'm actually thinking of like, what is the force of an agenda that you can like lie about stuff, and it's okay as long as you're supporting the agenda. But yeah, when she disseminates the conspiracy theory on social media, she thinks that she is doing something important, namely pointing out that the issue of vaccination safety is worth attention. But her relation to the content of that theory does not involve a doxastic commitment. She supports it merely because of pragmatic reasons. In doing so, she does not lie, for she does not think that the theory is false. Its truthfulness is not an issue that concerns her. If the theory turns out to be false, this would not be the end of the world. The relevant group may have another conspiracy theory or some other radical claim to which she can shift to communicate her agreement with them. Here again, as in the hope process, a person who supports a conspiracy in this way might not be aware that she does not really believe in the theory. She might simply lack a clear view about what her attitude towards the theory she disseminates is. Yeah, basically, you can be part of a group, like you can have like drop an emote in chat and not realize that person's an asshole. You might just think it's a really cool emote, and then Twitch may have to delete the emotes like they did with PogChamp because the guy started spouting some bullshit things. So you thought what you were doing was just doing some fun group stuff, but then the guy started getting all, I think, homophobic or something. I forget what happened to the guy who the PogChamp emote came from, and now we've just got Komodo hype. Like, because this used to just be Komodo hype, and now it's PogChamp. They switched out the old PogChamp emote for Komodo hype. And so, like, this is what happens. We thought you were just having fun, but then you realized you were promoting, you know, some homophobic asshole, and that's bad. So, like, but easy enough to not realize when you're doing it if you're promoting group solidarity for other reasons because you think it's a good idea to have group solidarity. Okay, empirical research on conspiracy theories suggests that conspiracy theorizing and support for conspiracy theories are often politically motivated. Yeah, so like this is the thing. You believe it for political reasons, not for the actual things. Both psychological and historical studies show that a person's political views are clearly connected to conspiracy theorizing, in particular to the contents of the relevant theories. Jaron Harambam has observed that the activism of the conspiracy milieu can be understood as a form of sub-politics, a bottom-up form of politics outside the formal political arena. These results are well in line with the dynamics of the communication process. When the aim of the person who disseminates and defends a conspiracy theory is merely to communicate her more general political identity, she needs not to believe in the specific details of the theory, although of course she might believe them. A person supports a conspiracy theory in this way, that is, merely as a means to express her broader political views. Again, the doxastic assumption does not hold. Excuse me. Suppose that someone disseminates a no-vax conspiracy theory only in order to communicate that, in her view, vaccination safety needs more attention, and those who seek to defend the right to choose are good people. The person who disseminates the theory is part of the social process in which false claims spread. Of course, it is possible that the person's audience understands that she cannot really mean what she says about the alleged conspiracy, and she is just trying to make the point that some issues concerning vaccinations should be more seriously discussed. In a case like this, the audience would know that the person does not truly believe the conspiracy theory, but expresses her support for it merely for communicative reasons. Hence, less harm would result. But presumably this is not, as a matter of fact, what typically happens most of the time. Yeah, I mean, you see this with, like, politicians. You know they're full of shit. You know they know they're full of shit, but they're doing it to push the agenda. Now, not everyone knows the actual facts. Like, some of the politicians know the actual facts, and they're full of shit. The person here doesn't know all the facts, and so she's pushing it for political or social reasons, not because of she actually knows the facts. Okay, importantly, the two processes just sketched, hope and communication, must not be alternative to each other, but may also work in conjunction. Hoping that a certain conspiracy theory is true and seeking to communicate your support for the advocates of such theory may well go hand in hand. Yeah, I don't like they say the advocates of such theory. It's the group of people. So it's group membership, not advocates. You may not care about who's advocating for it, but that there is a group and social force, a political group, a lot of times, that do it. But they can call it advocates, I guess. Okay, and indeed we can observe the same basic structure in both processes. The apparent belief in a given conspiracy theory actually amounts to endorsing something else. Our argument for the psychological reality of those non-doxastic processes so far has been mainly abductive. We've argued that assuming those processes to be at play can explain a range of empirical data, and it can do that more charitably than some popular alternative explanations do. We now turn to some implications of our non-doxastic approach, implications which, as we shall see, provide a critical testing ground for the approach itself. We have argued that there are non-doxastic conspiracy theories that are not really believed by all of those who support them. The fact that someone expresses support for conspiracy theory is not a sufficient reason to attribute to her a belief that the theory is true or likely. We have argued that in some cases, supporters of conspiracy theories merely hope that the theories they endorse are true, the hope process, and that in some cases they simply mean to communicate their support for other supporters and disseminators of those theories, the communication process. Our claims get support from various empirical and historical studies, the results of which are nicely understood in light of the non-doxastic theory acceptance. We will now consider some implications of our argument for possible debunking strategies. Those who are willing to debunk conspiracy theories, we will argue, should take the possibility of non-doxastic conspiracy theories into account when designing their practical interventions. Our point here is not to argue that debunking is a good idea. We only argue that if someone finds the idea attractive, then they should understand what she opposes. If belief is not the attitude that is involved in supporting conspiracy theories, then the game changes. Let us consider two examples of debunking suggestions. They are both problematic if applied to non-doxastic conspiracy theories. And see, this is where the rubber hits the roads. If you're not talking about convincing somebody of the relevant facts because they don't actually believe it, and belief is modeled on knowledge, as I was trying to explain before, then what do you do? Because you're not talking about a fact-based theory here. First, debunking strategy. Adding cognitive diversity. It is often argued that one of the factors that makes some people believe in conspiracy theories is their imperfect epistemic environment. Most people live in epistemic bubbles, and unfortunately some bubbles tend to be conspiracy theory friendly to a considerable degree. In order to fight against the spreading of conspiracy theories on this view, people should therefore try to increase the cognitive diversity of the groups who suffer from one-sided information that favors conspiracy theories. This idea can take extreme forms. For instance, Kassar Sunstein and Adrian Vermeule famously argued that cognitive infiltration of extremist groups would undermine the crippled epistemology of believers by planting doubts about the theories and stylized facts that circulate within such groups, thereby introducing beneficial cognitive diversity. The limited informational environment of conspiracy theorizers should be made more open and diverse, if necessary, by means of secret governmental operations. That's hilarious. Okay. In his book on conspiracy theories and other dangerous ideas, Sunstein stresses the point once again. If necessary, the state should conspire against citizens. The idea of fighting against conspiracy theories by adding cognitive diversity needs not take these extreme forms, though. Surely one can try to improve people's epistemic environments by various means, including means that are consistent with democratic values and more likely to achieve their end. But the strategy of increasing cognitive diversity is based on a doxastic assumption, and as we have argued, this assumption is not always correct. There are likely to be non-doxastic conspiracy theories that are not believed by their supporters. Increasing cognitive diversity is unlikely to influence a person who supports a conspiracy theory only in the sense that she hopes the theory is true. The hope process. Even if her epistemic environment were more or less perfect in terms of having a diversity of points of view, she could still hope that the conspiracy theory she supports is true. Yeah, I mean, if you're delusional, it doesn't matter how many more facts you're getting. Tindari says, but it's still pretty fucked up how a lot of people treated unvaccinated people compared to before the pandemic. For example, Jehovah's Witnesses who just don't take any vaccinations in general. I don't even like religious people and still treat them as a human being, forcing them to direct or indirectly only made it worse. Yeah, I mean, you shouldn't be treating people shitty even if they have bad ideas. But, I mean, things got polarized because, like, you know, I understand what happened. People were dying, and then other people were like, no, people aren't dying. It's like, it was a bad political situation, and we shouldn't do that, of course. But what are you going to do? It was like people were losing their minds. I live very close to where actually not, I mean, I'm just where I am. There's like one of the main areas where COVID-19 broke out in New York first was not like right here, but like it's not that far. It's like that direction. But it's like people were freaking the fuck out. Like it was like people didn't know how COVID-19 spread. And so like you would like go, my buddy had a job working for the electric company here. And he got called into a service call in that area. And one of the guys came out and was like, get the fuck out of here. You're going to get sick. We don't know why. Like this was like right early days COVID-19. They didn't know if it was like, you know, just traveling around in the air and stuff. And it's like people were losing their mind. And so pandemic was very scary. I'm just saying. It's like I remember that story. He was like, he was so happy because he got to yell at his boss he didn't like. How dare you send me over there? People were like telling me how to get out, like it was a quarantine zone. But yeah, that's what it was. Like he couldn't have cared less. But he was like he got to yell at his boss. But like yeah, you should treat people okay. But like at the beginning of the pandemic, it just reminded me of that story where he was like so happy because he was like, they were like, get the fuck out of here, run, you're gonna get sick. Yeah. Well, yeah, it is complex. It was funny because it reminded me of that like hilarious story where he was just like, it was like scary as fuck for like 5 seconds, and then he was like thinking about it. He was like, I'm not going to get sick. I didn't interact with anyone. Some guy yelled at me from across his yard. Like, nothing's going to happen. But he was like, yes, I get to yell at my boss. I was like, yeah. Anyhow, similarly, increasing cognitive diversity is unlikely to influence a person who endorses a conspiracy theory just in order to express her support for some group or movement. That's the communication process. Expressing support is a pragmatic reason that will not be displaced by increasing cognitive diversity. Thus, if a person would like to debunk conspiracy theories and considers the policy of increasing cognitive diversity as a mean, she should first make sure that she is not dealing with a non-doxastic conspiracy theory, for if she is, the strategy might not be very effective. I seriously thought people inform themselves if they are affected by it. Yeah, I don't, it's like, people do certain things. I don't think they, inform themselves very well. But yeah. Okay, and the second debunking strategy, teaching logical thinking. Okay, well, what are we going to say about this? Yeah. And it has been argued that people who support conspiracy theories have defective logical competencies and fall prey of various formal and non-formal fallacies. Well, they probably do. Robert Brotherton and Christopher C. French, for instance, argue that conspiracy theories, similar to other anomalous beliefs, are associated with reasoning biases and heuristics. An example here is the conjunction fallacy, to which people who endorse conspiracy theories seem to be particularly susceptible. A person who commits the conjunction fallacy thinks that the probability of two events occurring together is larger than the probability of each of them occurring alone, which of course cannot be true. A person who believes that there is a 20% likelihood that it rains tomorrow should not believe that there is a 30% likelihood that it rains and winds tomorrow. If conspiracy theory arises from bad reasoning, then those who would like to fight against the spread of conspiracy theories should try to improve people's logical skills or their critical and scientific thinking more generally. This suggestion, however, may have limited validity. Although the policy of educating people sounds good in general and would most probably have some desirable effects, this strategy is not likely to work in the context of non-doxastic conspiracy theories. As per the hope process, a person who hopes that a particular conspiracy is true, as is true would strengthen her overall worldview, may not be that interested in the logical grounds of the theory. Indeed, hoping does not undergo the same normative constraints as believing. While the propositions we believe ought, at least ideally, to be integrated with each other into a logically consistent whole, there is nothing wrong in hoping that a given proposition is true, even if it is not logically connected to other propositions that we take to be true. Hoping is possible until its object is considered demonstrably impossible. Yeah, I mean, this is like the whole thing about, like, you know, hoping to see your relatives in the afterlife. There's nothing logical that you're going to tell someone that's going to change their view about that. It's like the hope, like being delusional is like, it's like you're saying, don't be delusional. That doesn't work logically. Like either they're delusional and they're ignoring logic, or they aren't. And teaching someone logic is not going to make them less delusional, because the whole problem is that they can't use the logic to begin with. But yeah, like they don't want to either if they're like hoping that something impossible is going to happen. Okay. Similarly, the communication process, a person who uses conspiracy theories merely as a means to communicate her ideological stance needs not be too much concerned about the logical grounds of the theory she refers to. So improving her logical skills will not help much in fighting her penchant for conspiracist thinking. Again, all this suggests that if we were like to debunk conspiracy theories, we should first check whether we are dealing with theories that are supported non-doxastically. A person can support a conspiracy theory non-doxastically, even if her logical skills are more or less perfect. Yeah, because you're not thinking logically, so changing how someone logically thinks won't help in this case. Of course, although many debunking strategies are based on a doxastic assumption, the view that the dissemination of conspiracy theories should be opposed must not in itself be based on that assumption. Indeed, one might argue that even if people's attitudes towards conspiracy theories are non-doxastic, insofar as those attitudes influence people's actions and reactions, leading to potentially dangerous behavior, they should be somehow debunked. Although most philosophers think that people are free to speculate about possible conspiracies and disseminate such speculations, the idea of whether and how the said speculations should be restrained becomes more and more pressing. In relation to the approach we defended here, then, the question arises of what should be done if a clearly harmful and mistaken conspiracy theory, say an anti-Semitic theory, is supported mainly on non-doxastic grounds. The institutions more... I skipped one. What we have argued suggests that a promising way to oppose such theories might pass through policies aimed at enhancing people's trust in major social institutions, perhaps with the help of political programs that make the institutions more transparent and accountable. While a proper development of this suggestion goes beyond the scope of our present discussion, however, our aim here was more general. We meant to show that whatever one might want to do of conspiracy theories, she should first get clear on the mechanisms that underlie them. Yeah, I mean, this is crazy. You think we're just going to make people trust the government all of a sudden? Like, enhancing people's trust in major social institutions? Like, seriously? That's like the one thing the conspiracy theories don't want to hear. They know that. You have to do it some other way. Basically, the things I've heard in the past is basically you have to do it socially. You have to get them to be out of the social groups. You have to use the communication theory to get them out of that group so that they want to be in part of a different in-group. And that is, getting them. Once you get them out of that group, then they don't care about pushing by the communication theory. Now, that may not work for the hope theory, like that they hope it's true. But at least the communication theory, you get them out of the social groups that they are in, or you widen their social groups. You don't widen their beliefs, you widen their social groups so that they don't want to be pushing the same theories because it pisses off their friends. And that way you can have a social normative force on there like, why are you saying all this like crazy shit? Like, that's crazy. Stop pushing those crazy things. And it's like, you can still hang it. You have to make more friends, give them a different communicative push, as opposed to, what their conspiracy theorist friends want them to be pushing. So this idea that enhancing people's trust in major social institutions, not so much. if you want to get at them, you do this communication strategy, but you make it like a social thing, not a, how the hell are you going to make people all of a sudden start trusting major social institutions? That's hard. I don't have any idea how to do that, but you know, social engagement, not as hard. You can go make friends. Okay. Importantly, as we noted, the implications of our non-doxastic account for different debunking strategies may also provide a critical testing ground for the account itself. Insofar as the account predicts the failure of a given debunking strategy, indeed, once that strategy is put into place, it will be possible to check whether or not the prediction is confirmed. Although successes and failures in this area are not always easy to assess, then the non-doxastic model that we defended in this paper is, at least in principle, susceptible to empirical confirmation. Susceptible of? I don't know. Whatever. Concluding remarks. I think that's just a different phrase when you say susceptible of, not susceptible to, but whatever. Concluding remarks. To a large extent, the academic discussion on conspiracy theories has been based on the doxastic assumption. According to that assumption, a person who supports a conspiracy theory has a belief concerning it. We have argued that the doxastic assumption does not always hold, and that the result of empirical studies support the suggestion that there are non-doxastic conspiracy theories, theories that are not really believed by their supporters. We introduced two ways in which a person may support a conspiracy theory without really having the relevant beliefs about it. First, she may hope that the theory is true, as its truth would strengthen a more general worldview that is psychologically important for her. Second, she may express her support for the theory in order to express her political and ideological commitment, even if she has not really considered whether the theory is true. Many debunking strategies assume that people who support conspiracy theories have beliefs about them, and such beliefs should therefore be the targets of the relevant debunking interventions. But if what is at stake are not actually false beliefs and defective epistemic environments, then the relevant interventions should be redirected. It is worth emphasizing again some implications of the view we defended for the assessment of the rationality of people's attitudes towards conspiracy theories. The charge of irrationality that is generally raised against such attitudes is based on the doxastic assumption, the point being that it is irrational to believe in conspiracy theories which are badly supported by the relevant epistemic authorities. But insofar as the doxastic assumption is questioned, the charge of irrationality may be reconsidered as well. I think this is actually really good right here, that you're going to treat people as more rational, which is generally what you want to do if you want to talk to them, which is the kind of the goal here. And generally, people don't want to have stupid beliefs. They don't. And so the idea that there are other reasons for them to have stupid beliefs, like conspiracy theories, that they're giving here are actually pretty good. So this is good, like a good thing in general for the understanding of how to deal with people and what people might actually be up to, as opposed to just believing stupid things. Okay. As we noted, hope is not governed by the same epistemic norms that govern belief, and one may have good reasons to hope that a given conspiracy theory is true. Similarly, there is nothing especially irrational in communicating one's position by saying something different from what one wants to communicate. That sort of use of language is indeed common, although it may and does lead to confusions. This said, it is also worth noting that conspiracy theory supporters are likely to display some sort of irrationality, at least at a metacognitive level, due to their unawareness about the non-doxastic status of their own attitudes. Very few of us have gone out and verified all the things we know. It's very hard to do that. So, like, yeah, they're definitely saying things that they don't know and they should check the relevant authorities, but this is not so far off from what most of us do. I have to defer to everyone who knows more science than me, because I don't know a ton of science compared to, like, a lot of people in chat or on Twitch. Like, you want to go talk science, go hang out with Homozygote. Like, easy. I don't know as much as he does about science. So it's like, but I have to defer to them. But the idea that I actually have, like, irrationality about, like, I don't, like, a lot of things I just have to defer to other people. So it's like, yeah, like flat earthers say, yeah. So it's like, I mean, I have some sort of metacognitive level, but it's not like a crazy amount of things that's going wrong here. And I like this because it's making people less crazy. You can understand what they're doing. Even if they're wrong, you can at least understand why they're wrong. Yeah. So indeed, we have seen that those who support conspiracy theories non-doxastically are often unaware that they do not really believe those theories. Their self-knowledge is somewhat faulty in the motivationally biased way we describe, which is which is a far from ideal epistemic situation. Yeah, I believe a lot of things because I take someone else's word for it. These people are doing it a little bit weak, though. Yeah, it's like flat earthers are like, how could you believe those scientists? Crazy people. Okay, lastly but not least, note that saying that attitudes towards conspiracy theories might be less epistemically irrational than they are often taken to be does not amount to saying that there is nothing whatsoever wrong with them. Yeah, good ending point. You know, like, this is good. Just because we're saying they're less irrational doesn't mean they're not wrong. At the very least, such attitudes can be morally problematic insofar as they involve accusations which are not well supported by evidence. People who disseminate conspiracy theories without really believing them seem disturbingly unconcerned about truth and somewhat immune to normal evidential criteria. Surely one should worry about the truth and evidence if she is going to spread blame and accusations against other people. Okay. What do we have to say about this paper? You know, like I said at the beginning, this is actually, I think, a well-designed paper. They put out a theory that, you know, at first you might think, no, like, you believe what you say, and why would you say stuff and not believe it? And then they have, like, two very good reasons. Group membership, you're just pushing the, you know, agenda of the group, or you're pushing wishful thinking. This is the conspiracy theory, or the, not the conspiracy. This is their, what's it called? Forgot already. Their hope and their communication mechanisms. Yes, Max, they definitely could have made it shorter. It was not terrible. They could have cut like 2 pages off this without even like dropping with losing anything. There was a little section right, this in-between section right here. Like this paragraphs here, they didn't need to, like, they just said stuff. Like in this, like right there, they didn't need these paragraphs at all. Like, this was just like, we will now consider this. They said that right here. Like, what was happening right here got repeated right here. They did not need to say like this. So that would have just knocked out, you know, at least a quarter of a page right there. So could have been shorter. Common problem in philosophy. They just keep going on. These people weren't terrible. They had some cutesy little examples, like when they were starting this, where they're like, oh, some person's part of a group, or they had a high school example. They didn't waste a whole lot of time on it. They could have cut that down too. It's not terrible. I mean, we've had people go on and on and on about their stupid examples. I'm like, I don't give a shit. This could have taken 1 sentence. This is not the worst. But like, yeah, they could have definitely cut a few pages off this. You know, all these papers suffer from like reviewers, as we were talking at the beginning of the stream, saying bullshit things to them, and you know, it's like there's a whole lot of footnotes on this. Like, I didn't read any of these footnotes, but we've got like big old footnotes on a lot of these pages. Like, this is another giant footnote here. So you've got problems of reviewers getting angry with them, which is, you know, a problem with modern publishing of philosophy papers. But yeah. Like, do we really need to consider a high school drama? No. We could have had a much shorter thing. Was it terrible? Nah, not really. Since Max says, I had a philosophy professor who told me always read the citations first, then read the paper. It's interesting how predictable it is. That's actually a pretty good strategy. You could actually, you know, come down here, see who they're talking about, and you'll know what's going to go on. The points were fair, in your opinion, Pink Lady? Yeah. I don't actually have much of a problem with this. This was really well argued. Like, they stayed within their lane, and like, you know, this was like they said what they were going to do. They did it, and I don't think they fucked up anything. I had minor gripes with a few things. Like, I don't think like they were, when you're talking about conspiracy theories, you're talking about like social stuff. And so they should be, say, like scientific evidence. I don't think that's the right kind of evaluation. It wasn't scientific, but like, these are really small gripes, like stuff. I think like hope is not a bad term. I didn't like the communicative thing. It's more group membership, not communication. You're communicating group membership and being in it, but like calling it the communicative mechanism, I didn't love that. Again, small terminological thing, not a big deal. Their main point stood. All right, so yeah, exactly. You still got to read the paper. You don't know till you read it, and you agree. All right, so let's do the little review. So here's the thing. You can see here now the review is active. You can grab one of these emotes. If you can't see them, you can install the Better TTV plugin for your browser. But yeah. So what do we think about this? You can use the yay or nay just as like a generic thumbs up, thumbs down for this. The Braindance, did this have any fun ideas? Yeah, a little bit of fun. Like talking about conspiracy theories. So we're gonna give this let's give this like 2 brain dances maybe. And the spelling is at the right of your screen. So you can't use the one on the left. So we're gonna give this 2 brain dances on my thing. Good night. Thank you for being here. Thanks for recommending it. I appreciate the bits and everything. Cinesemiacs, thank you. So let's get some more review. So this is gonna get then grapes. Big claims that shrivel up. No, this did not shrivel up. It had its claims and it was fine. Was it navel gazing only for academics? No, not really. Ouroboros, deep ancient mysteries. They made a claim about hope and group membership. I think that gives us it gets an Ouroboros. So that you found it cute. That's cool. You kind of feel you want to dance for those who express support for the creators. That's fine. Yeah, thank you for the review. Yeah, Ivan Neo thinks it was fun, gives it a yay. Now, did this have any existential or artistic drama to it? Not really. There's not a whole lot about what is it? Maybe a little bit about people feeling like psychologically like they need stuff. But that's not really a whole lot what was going on here. Golden Turd, all style, no substance. Again, this was more analytic philosophy. This was a well-argued paper. They didn't do a whole lot, but this was fine. What they set out to do, they did. And so it's going to get some knives for slicing and dicing. That's what they did. They presented some arguments, and their arguments were good. So it's going to get some brain dance and some slicey dice, and I'm going to give it a vote yay, because it was really not bad. So this is what the review is here. We're going to get 2 brain dance. We're going to get 1 Ouroboros because, talking about the psychological need to believe and that being kind of a hope thing that isn't actually a belief, that's a nice point. That hope and belief have different actions and they are still affecting us today, that hope does not follow the same rules as belief. So that's one nice thing. The group membership thing, less deep, more just okay, a little bit of social science there, fine, and that's why I got the brain dances on this. Thank you, Pink Lady, for the review. I'll leave the review active for another minute, so let me know what you think. Yeah. Let's see, anything else to say about this? I got to remake. I got to do a lot of work remaking the screen and the scene and stuff. But yeah, this has been working well enough lately that I think when I get some time, I'll be able to post a website, and all of our reviews, if you don't know, all of our reviews will go up onto this website, and so there'll be a Pink Lady gave this a thumbs up on the site.